Hi, so I'm back with chapter 4, The Adventure Begins, and this is the book Llama Pajamas by Susan Clymer. It's a scholastic book, and it says, all aboard for the wildest hiking trip ever. So what was the problem in the last chapter, do you remember? He was a jumper and dragged Mom into the stream, right? And what's the first rule of llamas? Don't let go of the rope, not for any reason. So chapter 4, the adventure begins. Giant raindrops, uh-oh, never good when you're camping and it's raining. Splatting on our windshield as we stopped in front of the cabin where we would spend the night. Mom groaned, yet she opened her door and scrambled onto her seat to pop up the rooftop carrier. Then Mom tossed gear down to Dad and me like Speedy Woman. I carried 8 loads inside in 2 minutes. On my 9th load, lightning crashed. Mom shrieked wildly and raced in behind me. Lightning is the only thing I've ever seen that makes my mom act as if she were a scared little kid. The packing, of course, was Dad's job. That was the agreement. Mom cooked dinner while I jumped between the 2 beds, pretending I was leaping over a raging river. Dad spread all our gear out on the floor. He started dropping things into the canvas panniers, muttering, sleeping bags in one, the llama green and everything we need during the day in the other. So what does that tell you? Listen again. Sleeping bags in one, the llama green, and everything we need during the day in another. So they have to pack the llama's food with them. That's right. Soon the llama packs were full, but half of our stuff was still spread out on the floor. You forgot my personal gear, I cried, swallowing my last bite of chicken. Dad had said I could bring 10 pounds of entertainment. So that would be about just under 20 kilograms. So how much is a kilogram? Do you know? A pound would be like a big stick of butter, and a kilogram is just over 2 sticks of butter in weight. A kilogram weighs more than a pound. So maybe that'd be 5 kilograms. All right. Yes, 5 kilograms. I had chosen 2 mysteries, my super duper art kit, my stuffed humpbacked whale, a deck of cards, a picture of me at the computer, a jump rope, and a harmonica. Mom gave me a sideways look. Dad had put down his chicken sandwich and was tugging on the hair behind his ears. That meant he was frazzled. Why don't we go to bed, Mom suggested, yawning. Oh, I knew she was pretending. We have a big day ahead of us. Bed this early? I exclaimed, shocked. Sometimes you can't argue with your parents. So Dad cleared off one double bed and I crawled in with Whaley, my stuffed whale. Mom read beside me. I figured I wouldn't sleep in a million years, not with that crashing storm. I sure hoped it didn't rain cats and dogs tomorrow while we hiked. I lay there imagining yowling orange kittens and barking Great Danes coming out of the sky. So raining cats and dogs is what we call an idiom or an expression. It doesn't mean that actual cats and dogs are falling from the sky. It just means that it's raining hard, 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 hard. I woke up to see Dad sitting on the panniers, bouncing up and down, muttering in a determined voice, I will get them into the right shape. The next time I rolled over, Mom was asleep in the other bed, a pillow thrown over her head. I couldn't hear the rain pounding anymore. The little clock between the beds showed 12:30 in bright red numbers. Go back to sleep, Milkshake. Dad tucked me in and he smiled. All the hard work is done now. Dad woke us up with mugs of hot chocolate and toast at 5:47 a.m. Mom and I stumbled sleepily into the car. We drove along a curvy mountain road as the sun came up. Then we bounced down a dirt track past a beaver lodge. By the time we pulled into the end of the trip trailhead, I was taking deep breaths of that pine tree Christmas smell. So that's an important thing authors do, is they describe what they're seeing, hearing, smelling, and feeling, right? So listen to that again. I was taking deep breaths of that pine tree Christmas smell, that good fresh outdoors smell, right? A truck turned in right behind us. I could see 4 llama ears sticking up over the cab. The light brown ones looked familiar. Hey, Compo, I yelled. Dad hopped out and clambered onto the back of the truck. That's when I noticed that he was wearing new bright red suspenders. They looked silly, like a clown's suspenders. What would the other kids in the 4th grade next year say about them? I had a wild thought. Perhaps I could find a way to hide the suspenders before school started. Hello, traveling companions, Dad exclaimed to the llamas. Ready for an adventure? At that same instant, both llamas raised their noses into the air and gazed in the opposite direction, away from Dad. Ah, come on, fellows, Dad whispered. You can be a little friendly. Meanwhile, Gary had hooked our panniers on the outside of the truck. Everybody climb in front, he called. That meant I got squashed. As Gary drove, I waved goodbye to our lonely gray mouse in the dirt parking lot. We were doing a one-way hike, starting at another trailhead and coming back here in 8 long days. Gary would meet us right here to pick up the llamas. Gary slowed down in front of the Forest Service Station. There's a phone inside to call me if you change your plans. A young woman in a green uniform leaned out of the window of the building. Good news, a camper picked up your llama, a cowboy who says he lassoed the llama, she giggled. We've got the llama in a pen around back. I'll pick him up later, Gary answered, pleased. He waved and sped up. When Dad raised an eyebrow, Gary smiled sheepishly. Mr. Youngston lost a llama named Derby last week. It was the llama's first trip out. He pulled loose from his rope. Mr. Youngston lost a llama? Mom asked. Mom and I stared at each other. If an expert could lose a llama, what about us? Now don't you worry, Gary said. The truck hit a bump, and I bounced so high my head almost hit the ceiling. You've got 2 experienced llamas, Compo and Blue Star. Remember your training, you'll do just fine. We pulled into the new trailhead in a cloud of dust. Our family was finally ready to start on our adventure. After loading the llamas, Gary had us pose for a picture by the Rawa Wilderness sign. Dad and Blue Star stood on one side, me in the middle, and Mom and Compo on the other side. Dad held the map in his hands and he wore those silly red suspenders. Later, when I looked at the picture, I realized we were all grinning, even Mom. And that is chapter 4, Adventure Begins. So was there a problem in that? If you think it's that Mr. Youngston lost a llama and the family is wondering what they've gotten themselves into, I think you're right. Sounds like they're going to enjoy it though. I guess we'll have to read chapter 5 and find out. And I want to say hi to both Hudson and Hayden. So take care, you guys.